جستن ميرام رغم ولادته خارج العراق إلا أنه لبى نداء الوطن في أول استدعاء قطع المحيط من أجل أن يردد موطني. يقال عنه مزاجي ويصفه البعض بالفنان البخيل. لعب وترعرع في بلاد العمسام وقرر أن يأتي اليوم قاطعا كل المسافات من أجل أن يلتقي بجمهوره العراقي. إنه جستن ميرام. أهلا بكم وبرنامج الخطوة التاسعة بموسمه الثاني مع طه أبو رغيف.
جستن شلونك؟ مبدجر اسمك جود شلونك؟ سيت بليز. اهلا جستن
حبيبي.
يعني لا أعرف بالبداية السؤال هو أين جستن الآن؟ كرة قدم، تريد أن تصبح مدرب، فجأة اختفى جستن عن كرة القدم بشكل خاص.
Right now I'm in USA with my family. Obviously now I have 4 kids, so I didn't disappear. It's more of, working with the businesses I have with my family and continue to provide for them. And I'm still, involved in football and inshallah involved more in the future.
يعني هل من ممكن أن نرى جستن مدرب سواء بالولايات المتحدة أو أي مكان آخر، أم أنه مهنة التدريب يعني بعيدة عنك؟
No, I would love to be a coach one day, but it comes with sacrifices. And, now it's having to weigh, what's more beneficial for my family and for the kids. But my dream is to be a coach one day, and, inshallah, one day I can be a coach of the national team or to help the national team in any capacity, whether it's coach, assistant coach, or, manager. Because I have that experience at a high level, and I really believe that I can help the future generation and the players now with منتخب.
يعني المساعدة تتحدث عن أي لاعب كرة قدم، يعني ربما الآن حتى يفهم الجمهور العراقي أنت تتحدث عن كرة القدم العراقية تحديدا أو كرة القدم في أي مكان ممكن أن تجد نفسك فيها.
No, I think for me, I would love to be a coach of the national team, I think that would be an unbelievable accomplishment and dream to represent the national team as a player and then as a coach.
وتعتقد بأنه الكرة العراقية أو اللاعبين العراقيين لديهم القدرة على التطور، ولذلك أنت تتمنى أن تكون مدرب على اعتبار أنك تستضمن النجاح كمدرب؟
Listen, the Iraqi people and the players have a very high level, and I think their ability to grow and to evolve is difficult sometimes because the game in Iraq is staying the same. But, if I was to help the national team, I played outside. So I understand, and I played at a high level with very high-level players. So, I can bring that experience and the maturity and the understanding mentally for the players in Iraq of how to play, and you're seeing it more because you're seeing all the players from outside that are playing with the national team, how they bring a different level of calmness on the ball and a different level of mentality. The Iraqi players are very strong and very dedicated and play with a lot of heart, So now can we bring it all together with the mentality and the ability?
من الجميل أن يتحدث شخص عراقي مولود خارج العراق يتحدث بهذا الارتباط مع بلد هو يعني أنت لا تتحدث العربية بشكل جيد وولدت خارج العراق، لكن بصراحة جستن أنا قرأت لك رسالة مؤثرة جدا كنت كتبتها يوما ما كمقال، لماذا ألعب للعراق؟ كنت تتحدث عن يوسف الخفاجي صديقنا وكيف بدأ بالحديث معك حول هل تود اللعب لمنتخب العراق. بصراحة قرأتها وكنت أشعر بصدق الكلمات. كيف لك أن تحافظ على هذا الارتباط؟ وهل كان هذا الارتباط بسبب دعوتك للمنتخب العراقي أم قبل ذلك كنت تعرف بأنك لديك أصول بالعراق وأن والديك من العراق ويعني لديك هذا الارتباط؟
When Yusuf reached out to me on Facebook, if I wanted to represent Iraqi national team, for me, I was very excited, for the possibility, and I didn't know if it could happen. But it took a long time, a long journey. But I made a decision to play for the Iraqi national team over United States because in my heart and where I come from my mother and father is from Iraq. So being Iraqi Chaldean, being proud to be Chaldean, it was, a dream to represent Iraq on the national stage. So from one message from Yusuf al-Khafaji to representing the national team for almost 8 years was a dream. And to play in Iraq and to score in Iraq in front of our people is something that will stay with me forever.
والجميل بأنك يعني كنت تحافظ على هذا الانتماء إلى العراق رغم أنك ولدت خارج العراق. يعني هل كانت الأجواء العائلية أجواء بها شيء من العراق على مستوى الأكل على مستوى العادات التقاليد وهذا ما جعلك مرتبط بالعراق؟
Even though I was born in America, I grew up Iraqi. And that for me is why my life is the way it is. And playing for the national team was something that was an obvious choice. So to your question, even though I was in America, we still ate the food and spoke the language growing up. And all of our neighbors were Iraqi as well in Detroit.
بالتالي يعني لحظة استدعائك للمنتخب كنت تنتظر أن يتم استدعائك للمنتخب أم لا لم كنت تتوقع ذلك؟
Never in a million years did I believe, born and raised in America, that I would have the opportunity to represent Iraq on a national scale. And I didn't believe I would be a professional football player. But with time and, dedication and training, there was a moment where things were looking good for me and I got drafted into the MLS in the first round and I was starting to play very good. And this is the time when Yusuf sent me the message and a dream became a reality.
يعني هذه النقطة مهمة جدا. هذا كانت أول رسالة تماس ما بينك وبين العراق على مستوى الرياضة.
Yes, Yusuf was the first person to ever contact me from Iraq.
طيب ويعني أحب أسمع إنه رد فعل الأهل والدك والدتك هل قلت لهم بأن هناك رسالة من العراق أن ألعب للمنتخب العراقي كيف كان الوضع؟
When I told them there was this opportunity, at first they didn't know how to react because we've lived in USA forever. But once I explained how important this was for me and for my career and to represent our country, our roots, where we come from, they were very happy and emotional because they saw their son playing for the national team where they grew up. And every time I would represent the national team, they would pray for my success and my health, and they were on the edge of their seat. And every time we won, it was like a celebration back home for them, my parents, my aunts, my uncles, my brothers, and then the last few years, my wife and my kids.
طيب أنت طبيب أو درست الطب لكن قررت أن تترك الطب وتكون لاعب كرة قدم. ممكن يعني نتحدث عن هذه النقطة لماذا؟
This is life. You think you're going to go one direction and then you know, all of a sudden I got drafted and I became a professional soccer player. So, you know, when I was in the University of Michigan to study to be a dentist, I didn't know I would become a professional footballer. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, and because of that, I'm here today.
طيب يعني أنت لم تتخرج من الكلية، لم تكمل دراسة الطب، طب الأسنان.
No, because I played football too long, and then I started to have a family and kids, and you know, now I'm focused on, you know, raising my family and being a good father, and you know, working on the businesses I have back in USA.
يعني هل العائلة لعائلتك الآن أولادك وتأثير كبير حتى على قراراتك المستقبلية، لأنه أشعر بأنه حتى قرار المستقبل هو مرتبط بالأولاد والزوجة.
Of course, you know, every decision I make now in my life, I have to think for them and what's best for them, from where we live, the community, the culture, the schools, because even though we're Iraqi and we're Chaldean and we live in...
هذه صورة جميلة.
There is Dominic, Charlotte, Ariana. Oh no.
يبدون بنفس الأعمار قريبة، أعمار قريبة يعني ليس هناك.
Yeah, Sebastian almost 5. 5 سنة.
No. Good.
Charlotte 3, Ariana 2, and Dominic, he's 8 months. But Dominic, no sleep, the baby. But you know, and my beautiful wife Maxine blessed us with a beautiful family.
هي عراقية أيضا.
Yes. Yeah.
من الموصل.
Yeah, same. Yeah, both of us Chaldean. Yeah, from Tel Aviv.
طيب يعني المسيرة في الدوري الأمريكي لكرة القدم، أنت لعبت كرة القدم الأمريكية؟
A little bit. When I was in high school, I was a kicker. And then when I was playing soccer at the university, I was also a kicker. But then I couldn't do both, so I stuck with football. And it was a good decision.
بالتالي الرحلة كانت من الجامعة إلى الاحتراف. أول عقد احترافي مع أي نادي؟ كولومبوس كرو أو؟
Yeah, almost 8 سنة. 8 years with the Columbus Crew. And then I went to Orlando for almost 1 year. Back to Columbus. Then, you know, Atlanta United, which was a big step for me in my career because, you know, a few times I got traded, so it was getting difficult. But then I had a big success with Atlanta. And then I moved to Utah where I got married. I had 2 kids and spent a few years there.
صور لعب ضد ميسي، لديك صور عديدة مع ميسي.
Yeah, anytime you can say you played against Messi and you beat Messi, it's a very good thing. My match against Messi was one of the last matches I played in my career before I decided to retire. So very good memories. To meet him, to play against him, was you know, a dream.
بس لاحظت الصورة وكأنه وأنت يعني ما كلش يعني لم تكن يعني مو مهتم كثير بالميسي، أوكي يعني لاعب عادي، فشعرت بالصورة برد فعلك الجسدي بأنه أوكي.
Because I'm a competitor, and on the field I will compete like I don't care if you're Messi or Cristiano or some no-name, you know. In the match, I want to win. I want to compete. After the match, then I will maybe be happy and want to meet him and get his jersey. But during the match, you know, I stay focused because that's my duty to help my team win.
طيب سنوات عديدة في الدوري الأمريكي، كنت هداف الفريق، جوائز عديدة، رحلة ممتازة، لكن لم تفكر باللعب في أوروبا؟ لم تفكر أن تلعب خارج الدوري الأمريكي؟ هل تلقيت عروض للعب في أوروبا مثلا؟
Yeah, I did in UAE for Benias, but the owners in Columbus, they wouldn't let me leave, and this was a big moment if I was going to come to UAE or stay in MLS. I had some offers in Poland and the Netherlands, but for me to leave, it had to be, financially the right decision and the right team. I didn't want to go somewhere just for money, and the team is not good. My career, khalas, is not good. So every decision I made was for the benefit of me and the team. When the team is good, you excel and you play well, and you prolong your career. So many factors play a role into where you play.
وأنت من اللاعبين الذين يفضلون الاستقرار يعني في النادي، أن تعرف المحيط، تعرف الإدارة وتعرف اللاعبين وبدون مغامرات كبيرة.
Yeah, of course. When you have a good coach, good team, you feel comfortable. And when you are comfortable, then you can play good football, and your mind is clear. When your mind is not there, it's difficult to be happy on the pitch. So you have to make sure that when you play, that you are feeling good inside and you will show it on the outside.
جيد. وهذه النقطة هل هي كانت تؤثر أحيانا على مستوى جستن مع المنتخب الوطني العراقي؟ هل السفر لمسافات طويلة مثلا، يعني كنا نشاهدك في الأسبوع مع كولومبوس كرو تقدم أروع الأداء، لكن أحيانا عندما تأتي إلى المنتخب نشعر بأنه لست جستن نفسه الذي يلعب في كولومبوس كرو.
It's different, And I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, I had very, very good matches with the national team, right?
نعم، يعني بالتأكيد، لكن على المستوى الطويل هناك بعض المباريات لم يكن جاستن بنفس المستوى. هو كان يقال بأنه بسبب تأثيرات، بسبب بعض المشاكل. تعرف لاعبين يلعبون داخل العراق، لاعبون من خارج العراق.
No, sometimes you have to understand there's levels of players. My level, I believe, was very high. My IQ was very high. So my movement, the ability with the ball, how calm I am on the ball is different, right? So if some games the opponent is very strong, the defense, maybe it's difficult to give me the ball, right? Because a lot of pressure, boom, they kick it. Maybe a team not as strong, we can keep it. You see Justin, high level, the ball, play, see the players, make the passes. So sometimes people think, just give Justin the ball. But football is how many players?
11.
11 players, we have to move, synchronize. So if I come here, Ahmed Yassin from the other side come in, Yasser come under, we play, we connect. I had behind me Ali Adnan, Dargham, good players. When we have the ball, you see good moments. So you have to understand, sometimes it's not about only me and what I was doing. It's about the opponent and the pressure they're putting on us that I can't get the ball and to do my magic.
طيب، يعني هل أفهم من سؤالك بأنه مستوى جستن كان أعلى من بقية اللاعبين على مستوى الذهنية والتحرك داخل الملعب؟
Yeah, I believe for me, because of where I was playing and the coaches I had and the level that I was in every day is a very high level in MLS. And you see big players more and more are coming to MLS because of the level and the stadiums and the fans. So I love the pressure. And you could see my first game with Muntakhab in Saudi. You saw my performance. I almost scored a goal. They saved it off the line. I didn't speak one word of Arabic, back in 2014. But you saw I can take the pressure. And I love the pressure. And I wanted the pressure, But sometimes maybe a language barrier or sometimes the team performance, it's not only me, it's the team. So if the team isn't at a high level, sometimes it's difficult. But that's not an excuse, you know. I'm not perfect. I'm not Messi. You know, not every game I'm going to be top. But I felt throughout the 8 years with Muntakhab Iraq that I was playing at a very high level. And it was because I loved it. I love to bring happiness to the people and to the country. And every win for me was joy. And as I had a 20-hour flight back to USA, I was happy. And when we would lose, I would be very sad, and it would be a difficult time traveling back.
طيب سنتحدث أكثر عن الرحلة مع المنتخب الوطني العراقي وبعض القصص، لكن سنذهب إلى فاصل ثم أعود إلى ضيفي جستن ميرام. أهلا بكم من جديد، عودة إلى جستن. يعني أنت أود أن أسألك بشكل فني، عندما سافرت ولعبت مع المنتخب العراقي في أول مباريات، تدربت مع الفريق، كيف كان شعورك حول طريقة التدريب، حول نوعية اللاعبين؟ هل قلت أوكي نعم من الممكن أن نفوز، أو شعرت بأن هناك فرق كبير ما بين التدريب هناك في الMLS والتدريب في العراق واللاعبين العراقيين؟
When I first came to the national team, I couldn't believe my eyes and what I was seeing, you know. Very chaotic. And obviously you have to understand, training in MLS, it's the same team every day. With the national team, we all play all over and we come together. So the coaches have to have a high level of understanding how to train, how to do film, how to keep the guys engaged, you know? And for me, I thought it was very chaotic, you know? And sometimes they would be mad at me why I'm not training very strong. But I'm saying we have a game in 2 days. Why are we running like crazy? We have to be working on tactics and movement and not playing and guys just dribbling wherever they want, you know. So it was difficult when I came because I'm used to structure. And when I came to the national team, I felt there was a big lack of structure. And so for me, I felt the level of teaching in the Iraqi league was very low. And now I'm speaking from 2014. So the players would come and it was a free-for-all. Players would show up late to muhadaras. Players would, sleep in. The way we would eat, you know, the diet, and so many things that I couldn't believe when I first came. But I had to adapt because this was the way of the national team. But I loved the players, and I loved most of the coaches, not all.
من أول مدرب ذكرني والله 2014 من أول مدرب كان عراقي أم أجنبي؟
No, Iraqi. What's his
راضي
name?
شنيشل؟
No, before Radhi.
Before راضي.
He was the Olympic coach.
الغني شهد؟
Hakeem Shakir.
حكيم شاكر.
Yes.
حكيم
yes,
شاكر.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Hakeem Shakir. He was very nice and very good to me. And you know, when my first game under Hakeem Shakir was in the Golf Cup, 2014, and I was very proud of my performance in that game because the players say, "Oh, this guy, he comes from USA. He's not really Iraqi."
كنت تفهم
in that moment, I let them know in my heart who I am, and I proved not by speaking, but by my ability on the field.
كنت تشعر بأنه ينظرون لك بنظرة مختلفة. كيف كانت العلاقة؟ مهم جدا أن تتحدث، يعني كيف كانت العلاقة المرة الأولى مع حكيم شاكر، اللقاء الأول مع حكيم شاكر مع اللاعبين؟ هل شعرت بأنك في العائلة أم كنت تشعر بالغربة؟
No, in the beginning it was difficult, you know. But I will say this, Ahmed Ibrahim, Salam Shaker, Yunus. Those three brought me like I was a brother. And they made me feel comfortable. And then, it started to become more and more. My Arabic was better, so I looked forward to, joining the national team for games. And then I became friends with a lot of the guys. Then you had Rabin Sulaka and, Amjad Atwan, Ali Abbas, Mimi, all the guys, we become like family, and that's what it's about. So in the beginning, maybe it was difficult, but with time, I proved my ability on the field, so they respected me even more. And I knew that. If I came, he flies from America, business class, no. I have to travel 20 hours, and 2 stops. But I made sure that my performance reflected, the way they were taking care of me, because I wanted to be the best every time I put on the shirt. And when I put on the national team shirt, it meant everything to me. Every game for Iraq are the best games of my life. MLS, I play 400 games. Mm-hmm. You play Saturday, then you play Wednesday, then you play Saturday. Okay, you lose 1, you lose 2, okay, you have another chance. With Iraq, with Muntakhab, you lose 1 time, maybe you wait 2-3 months for redemption. So every game meant that much more.
طيب المحطة الكبيرة كانت في بطولة كأس آسيا في أستراليا 2015. كانت محطة كبيرة وكانت نقطة تألق واضحة للمنتخب بشكل عام. حدثني عن هذه التجربة.
It was amazing. It really was, and this moment changed everything, because Asia Cup was in January. After Gulf Cup in November, December, Jurgen Klinsmann for USA called my agent to represent USA. Do you know this?
أتذكر هذا الشيء لكن لا أملك تفاصيل.
So I had to make a decision for play for USA or play for Iraq. So, I just came back from Saudi Arabia with the Gulf Cup. And again, like I said earlier, in my heart, I'm Iraqi. So even though
واحد من الصور اللي مع اللاعبين هذا في كأس آسيا. يونس، أحمد، سلام، وليد وضرغام.
Amazing, good times. So I told Jurgen Klinsmann, I respectfully declined, because I'm going to play for Iraq, and that is the country I'm going to play for the rest of my career. And
طيب.
he was
يعني عفوا، هل فكرت كثيرا أم اتخذت قرار سريع؟
No, of course. I spoke to my mother, my father, my brothers, my agent, my coach, at the time Greg Berhalter, who is now, he was the head coach of USA later. And some people told me to play for USA, but my family, we all knew playing for Iraq was the best decision.
تأكيد بالنسبة لنا كان قرار مهم، ومن ثم سافرتم إلى أستراليا في كأس آسيا. كانت محطة مهمة للمنتخب. منتخب العراق قدم أداء مذهل، خصوصا مباراة ضد إيران، مباراة دراماتيكية.
Yeah, the Iran game was special, because of overtime, and Iran scored, we scored, shootout, Salam Shaker, the final PK. I will never forget these moments, Dargham scored the penalty to go into overtime. Amazing moments, amazing Asia Cup. Unfortunately, we lost to South Korea in the semifinals, but a proud moment to show that Iraq is a big national team that has the ability to win big games.
طيب هل على مستوى التنظيم المنتخب، التدريب، الهيكلية، هل تغير عندما سافرت، عندما لعبت كأس الخليج ثم عدت مرة أخرى لتجد مدرب جديد وطاقم تدريب جديد، هل تغيرت بعض الأمور؟
Obviously, there was a coaching change. Radhi essentially became the national team coach. And what I liked about Coach Radhi was everything that was missing before. He had structure, the training was strong, the film studies was strong, and you saw in our performance it was strong, and we were organized, and so yeah, it was different for the better. And I'm thankful for Coach Radhi. He was a good coach to me during my time, and I liked the way we played under Radhi.
وفي هذه الفترة تأقلمت أكثر مع طريقة اللعب، بدأت تعرف اللاعبين، تحركات داخل الملعب. كان بالمنتخب أحمد ياسين، ياسر قاسم، كان سلام بالقمة، يونس محمود، بقية الشباب، كان الوضع جيد.
Yeah, it was, I think, from, you know, where Iraq was, you know, in 2011, 12, 13, and where, you know, we started to grow and we had stronger performances. I really believed we, you know, had some chances to make the World Cup. And when I look at 2018 to go to the World Cup, there was a few games, you know, I wish we had back. And sometimes it's a bit of bad luck. When you look at the game against Saudi Arabia in Malaysia, we're winning 1-0 and they score 2 penalties. You know, these are big momentum shifts for the national team, and but I'm looking forward to the game in Mexico on March 31st. Inshallah, we win and we go to the World Cup.
ممتاز. ماذا تتوقع في هذه المباراة؟ المباراة ستكون قريبة على يعني أول كأس العالم في 3 دول، أمريكا، المكسيك، كندا، والمباراة في المكسيك، مباراة العراق ضد بوليفيا أو سورينام. كيف تنظر المباراة؟ هل تستحضر المباراة؟ كيف تتوقع النتيجة؟
You know, I think Bolivia is going to beat Suriname, and I think we're going to play Bolivia, and I think the game will maybe go 1-0 Iraq, or Iraq wins in overtime, shootout. But I believe Bolivia will be strong, but I think this is our moment for our national team, and I think we all need to come together as a country to, starting now, to lift them up and lift the players to get them ready for, you know, the biggest game of all of our lives, you know, to see Iraq back in the World Cup for the second time.
هل شاهدت مباريات المنتخب؟ هل لديك الوقت تشاهد بعض مباريات المنتخب، المباريات الأخيرة مثلا؟
I watch bits and pieces because of the time change, but I do always see the highlights, and I watch some of the games. Sometimes it kills me that I'm watching and I'm not there playing. I watched a lot of the matches, of the qualifying matches, when I saw the match against Kuwait, when it was against Kuwait where they had the 2 headers where we lose. Was it Kuwait or
Basra?
Yeah.
The draw.
The draw. Yeah. And then we played Jordan.
Yeah.
It was very difficult.
ضد فلسطين.
With Palestine.
Yeah.
And that was the game they beat us 2-1.
Yes.
I was crazy. You know, I was sad because now the World Cup is, you know, more teams and more opportunities to make the World Cup early. And we were in second place. It was for us to go direct. But everything happens for a reason. Inshallah, we win and we still make it.
بصراحة هل تعرف بعض أسماء الآن اللاعبين؟ يعني هل هناك لاعبين يعجبوك؟ لا أتكلم عن بعض الأسماء اللي لعبوا معك ميمي وأسماء جديدة. هل تراقب بعض الأسماء سواء الذين يلعبون خارج العراق؟
Yeah, you know, I watch. You know, I've spoke to Zidane a few times, and you know, I speak to Rabin. So remind me his name, who scored the penalty.
Amir.
You know, I played with Amir, so, you know, I still speak to them here and there, but, you know, obviously we're busy, but they're focused and they're playing very good, and that makes me happy, you know, and it makes me happy that I was one of the first, myself and, you know, Ahmed Yassin, one of the first two outsiders expect to come in and not just play one or two times, become the mainstay players every game. And we kind of created that opportunity for now. You see a lot of the players coming from outside and having a big impact. And it's good for the level. It's good for Iraqi football. It's good for the players playing in Iraq to see the level. And when they come to the national team, to see these guys that are playing outside and how they act as professionals and how they take care of themselves and how they work and train. This is all very good.
طيب لكن أنت تسمع وكنت تشهد على بعض الكلام في الإعلام، المشاكل، أن هناك ضغوطات، إبعاد اللاعبين الذين يلعبون خارج العراق، وأيضا مررت أنت بهذه القصة. هل فعلا هناك بعض اللوبي داخل الاتحاد أو المنتخب من أجل التمييز ما بين اللاعب الذي يلعب في العراق واللاعب الذي يلعب خارج العراق؟
No, listen, the media is the media, you know, and you can't believe everything you see, you hear, you read, because you will go crazy. And so for me, I don't believe that the federation wants to create any issues, or the federation has a job to do and the players have a job to do. And whatever the decisions are made from federation, coaches, for the players, it is what it is. They must perform, and if you perform, you stay. If not, I'm sure the federation speaks with the coaches on who to bring in to replace. So I don't believe me. I was always a player. I never listened to the media or what people are saying. If my name was called to represent the national team, I came, head down, work hard, and perform. Everything else is for the headlines.
طيب يعني لم تكن هناك أي لوبيات أو شاهدت لكن لم تتأثر مثلا؟ هل تعرف أنه بعض الضغوطات هناك موجودة لكنك لم تتأثر بها؟ يعني بعيدا عن الكلام الإعلام، بالواقع أسألك، هل كان هناك بعض الضغوطات المعينة؟
Yeah, there's always pressure. You know, the pressure to make an impact. If I'm going to come and travel so far and I don't play good, I have 50, 60 million people watching the game. So of course there's pressure, but with come pressure is a privilege to play at the highest level. You know, young kids, we dream to play on the big stage. So for me, I took the pressure and I handled it pretty well. And that's why people always say I was very calm. I never get too excited, and it was because I wanted to do my best and only focus on football, nothing else.
طيب في هذه اللحظات عشت انتظار استدعائك للمنتخب في كل مرة. ذكرني، هل كانت هناك بطولة ولم يتم استدعائك بها؟ كان الحديث عن المسافة الطويلة من السفر.
Is this the time with Katanech?
Yeah.
Well, you know, with Katanech, I was playing every game, and then there was a friendly game. And I had a big game in USA. So my coach in USA in Atlanta, Frank de Boer, speak with Katanech, hey, can we keep Justin here? Because the game is friendly, I think maybe against Lebanon. And he said, yeah, no problem, he could stay. Because I didn't go with national team and I stayed, khalas. For 1 year, he didn't call me. He said, the national team is first priority. And because I didn't respect the national team whenever I get called, then he didn't want me on the national team anymore. For me, I was broken because Frank de Boer and Katanech, they spoke. Everything was good. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to play this game with Atlanta United. And then I will go with the national team. But he changed his ways and he changed what he said. So for me, I lost all respect for Katanech because we had a good relationship and I played very good under Katanech. So for this one decision, he didn't understand. I have big contract with USA in the MLS, so I needed to perform. But also I had to travel almost one day to play a game that didn't mean much. So for him to never call me again for almost a year, was when I started to see my career with national team go down a little bit because Katanech left, another coach came, he left, then Dick Advocate and Petrovic, crazy guy. So it was a lot of different coaches.
دعنا يعني خطوة بخطوة. أنت طلبت من فرانك ديبور التواصل مع كاتانيتش والطلب منه عدم السفر من أجل خوض مباراة ودية ضد لبنان لم تكن بذات الأهمية.
Yeah, every game with national team is important, but World Cup qualifier, friendly game. I don't live in Dubai or Doha where 1 hour flight. I have to fly USA to Canada to Frankfurt, Germany, Frankfurt to Doha or UAE, and then to Baghdad or Riyadh, wherever the game is. So they spoke. I told them, you're going to make me go all this way for one friendly game, but I have a game against a Mexican team, Club America. So it was a big match. Let me stay, and then when the qualifying game comes, month after, I'll be ready. They agreed, yes, everything's good, خلاص. And then
فرانك ديبور أبلغك بأنه أخذ الضوء الأخضر من كاتانيتش، يمكنك أن تلعب أم تبقى ولا تسافر.
Yeah, they spoke, and Frank de Boer, he wanted me to play this game because I was a big player for Atlanta United. So they spoke, they agreed, everything good. And even I spoke with Katanech, and then he got angry with me because he believed that...
متى تحدثت معه؟ بعد المباراة ضد لبنان أم قبلها؟
Before the game. And he got angry, and I knew something was wrong when he got angry. And then he never called me again.
طيب يعني ألم تقل لكاتانيتش بأنه على المحادثة ما بين ديبور وبين كاتانيتش، يعني لماذا قبلت، لماذا قلت للمدرب بقبول ومن ثم الآن أنت غاضب، يعني ألم تشرح له ذلك؟
Yeah, I explained, and he believed that I wanted this, but he wanted every player, whenever they get called to the national team, that they forget about everything and go to the national team. Which, okay, I understand, which I did for 8 years. Anytime my name was called, I got on the plane and I flew across the world to play for the national team. But sometimes there's different circumstances. I didn't have a contract in 2020. I had the last year of my contract. So I must perform in MLS to sign a new contract. So this was a big game. This was a friendly game. I'm thinking, okay, let me stay, do well, so I can sign another contract. And then when it's a qualifying game or a game to prepare for, the World Cup, I will be there, as I always was.
جستن، القصة لم تكن متعلقة بك، أيضا أحمد ياسين تم إبعاده، وكاتانيتش تحدث عن أنه بعض اللاعبين لا يملكون القلب أو لا يملكون الرغبة باللعب، لا يملكون نفس الاندفاع داخل المنتخب العراقي.
Katanech is not Iraqi. He doesn't have our hearts and he doesn't understand the Iraqi way. So he's from outside. He doesn't understand everything. The way I play, the way I train is different than maybe he wants. He's a Balkan. Where he comes from, they're very strong and run like crazy. For me, I had technique, I had stability, I understood how to play and move. And sometimes I would fly all the way and get to the national team.
فقط 10 دقائق تلعب ممكن.
Yeah, and right away I'm training. I didn't even, can you imagine 20 hours on a plane, you land straight to the training with the team and you train. So I would tell them, hey, I'm gonna train على كيفك, easy, play, get my body. The next day I can sleep because I don't want an injury. But they would get mad at me that I didn't train strong every day. What's more important, the training or the game?
المباراة.
Okay. Where do you want to see the players perform the best? In the training or in the game?
لا أفهمك، لكن بعض المدربين يبنون الخطة الطريقة الأسماء من خلال التدريب. إذا لم تتدرب بشكل جيد يعتقد أن هناك مشكلة.
Maybe you see Messi the way he trains. I'm not Messi, but the way Messi maybe trains, he's preparing for the game, right? I was thinking the same way. I'm traveling far. Prepare my body in 2-3 days, I have the match. So protect my energy, protect my body, and get ready for the game. Because when you saw the way I played, it was different from training. But do you know how many players train top? And when the game comes, they shrink. Me, I was opposite, for the better. I would train just to stay sharp and stay prepared. But when the game comes, I wanted the pressure and I delivered. That was the difference between me and some of the players because they couldn't handle the pressure.
يعني بالنتيجة كان هناك اختلاف في وجهة النظر بينك وبين كاتانيتش. هو لم يفهم بعد المسافة، يعني مدرب كبير وقاد منتخب بلاده إلى كأس العالم. هو لم يكن يفهم ذلك، أم تشعر بأنه كان يضغط عليك بشكل شخصي يعني؟
Yeah, they wanted something different than what I was giving them when I would come and train. But I was coming to train not for the training to be the best. I was coming to train to prepare to be the best in the games.
دعنا نقف عند هذه النقطة، وهذه نقطة حاسمة أن تحدث بها. دعني أقول لك لماذا. يقال بأن مدرب المنتخب الوطني عندما يدرب اللاعبين المحليين يحتاج إلى أن يعيد ويعلمهم كثيراً، لأنهم قادمين من أندية ربما ليست بمستوى عالي. هذا ربما كانت هناك المشكلة. أنت تتحدث عن أن التدريب حتى تتحضر للمباراة وليس حتى تكون الأفضل.
Yeah, because when you see some of the trainings, I would go crazy sometimes of how the training was going and how unorganized it was. And, you know, there was one time we had 23 players on the field. 11 versus 12. You know, very unrealistic. But this was things that were happening in the national team, you know? And this is why it's important for guys like myself and others that played outside with professional coaches and professional players that are at a high level to understand this is how you train. This is how you stay calm with the ball. You don't get it and kick it high and run and jump and elbow and fight. Yes, that's what makes the national team very good is we have that strength. But you have to also have the composure and the quality, you know? So when I look at the training, you know, it was difficult. Sometimes it's hard to put into words what it was when I would come and my eyes would open like what's going on.
هل كنت تتحدث مع بعض اللاعبين حول هذه التدريبات أو حول الطريقة، أو يعني هل كنت تحاول أن تساعد أم كان من الصعب أن تتحدث معهم عن هذه الأمور؟
No, of course, but where do these players come from? Azorat, Shurta, you know, the big clubs, you know, in Iraq. They have their way of training every day. We have our way of training every day, but we have players from Argentina, Mexico, USA, France, you know, big players that come from big clubs. So we have our way in Iraq with their clubs. They have a certain way of how they train. So when we come together, I was always trying to tell them, hey, we need to train strong but smart to prepare, because I'm coming from USA, Rabin's coming from Sweden, Mimi's coming from Iraq. You know, so we come from different parts of the world. When we come here, let's train organized, smart, and prepare ourselves for when the game comes. We don't come to training and we fight and run like crazy. Then it's not smart training. You know, it's trying to show the coach, I score all the goals in training. That's not what I was. You called me, you knew my ability. So I'm gonna come, mentally I'm gonna prepare for the game, how I prepare throughout the week.
إذن بعض المدربين في المنتخب الوطني بشكل عام ليس فقط كاتانيتش يفضلون اللاعب الذي يتدرب بقوة. حتى بعض الأسمع أنا أيضا أسمع بأنه يعني أحد اللاعبين لقد تدرب بشكل جيد، هذا اللاعب تدرب بشكل جيد، لكن كما ذكرت أنت وأنت قلت نقطة مهمة جدا، في المباريات لا يبدو المستوى بنفس قيمة التدريب، لأنه جهد مثلا أو لماذا برأيك؟
Yeah, sometimes that's the case, but I believe sometimes they just weren't prepared, or they don't understand moments of how football should be played. And that's the education part of the national team. That's the education part of the clubs in Iraq. Who are they being coached by? Who are the assistant coaches? Who's doing the film studies? Where is the discipline? For me, there's a very big lack of discipline on the national team and the players playing in the Iraqi league of how to train like a professional, how to carry yourself. And I hope with time the national team gets better because the Iraqi league gets better. The quality gets better. And you see, we had an Iraqi player now signed with Al Nassr. You're starting to see the levels getting better and better. This is what makes us happy. From the outside, we're seeing the quality of national team players, the quality of Iraqi players that are being exposed and playing for big clubs. And this is what we want. But if we want more, the level of tactics and training has to be better from when they're younger.
طيب يعني سؤال سريع قبل أن نذهب إلى فقرة الAI. هل لو تأهل يعني إن شاء الله العراق إلى كأس العالم، هل من ممكن أن تساعد المنتخب العراقي على مستوى اللوجستيك على مستويات عديدة، خصوصا وأنت تعيش هناك في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية؟
Of course, and you know, right now I'm doing everything possible to help them with whatever they need. And I know they're preparing now with the coaches and players and the federation for the game in Mexico. So, you know, I'm helping from afar because it is my duty now to help them with whatever they need, especially now they're in USA. And so I make sure I make them feel at home.
ضيوفك.
Of course.
طيب سنذهب إلى فقرة الذكاء الاصطناعي. عندنا 3 أسئلة طرحناها على الذكاء الاصطناعي حول جستن ميرام، والذكاء الاصطناعي أجابنا عليها. فلنبدأ بالسؤال الأول. كيف للاعب احترف في أقوى دوريات أمريكا ولعب مع عدة أندية لا يتحول إلى النجم رقم 1 مع المنتخب الوطني؟ الجواب: لأن بناء المنظومة كان مختلفا وقميص المنتخب كان ثقيلا. تحدثنا قليلا عن هذا الموضوع يعني.
The jersey was heavy, but it wasn't something that I couldn't handle, and I was proud to wear the jersey, and still proud that I was able to represent the national team.
طيب السؤال الثاني اللي سألناه للذكاء الاصطناعي: هل كان جستن ضحية سوء توظيف أم أنه لم يظهر كامل إمكاناته بقميص المنتخب؟ جواب الاي اي الحقيقة الصادمة الاثنان معا.
You know, I wouldn't say I was a victim. I think sometimes it's the difference of how the coaches see the game, how the players see the game, and you know, for me, I believed I had a higher level, a higher IQ than maybe some coaches we had. But I always respected them because of their title. But I knew in my heart I had to do things my way for the benefit of the national team.
هذا سؤال مباشر لجستن بدون جواب الاي اي. انت في عيادتك على اعتبار انت لو استمرت كطبيب اسنان كدكتور، انت في عياده الاسنان وكان الجدول مزدحم ودخلوا عليك اثنين مرضى كاتانيتش وميسي يحتاجون الى معاينه مباشره ويجب ان تختار احدهما، من تختار؟
Between Messi and Katanech? Katanech, I will pull all his teeth out maybe.
تختار ميسي.
Yeah, of course. Make sure he's got a perfect smile. Katanech, I will keep him sleeping.
طيب بالتأكيد يعني هذه القصص بالنسبة لقصص المنتخب والتفاعل مع المنتخب العراقي كانت مهمة في حياتك. لدي سؤال أخير قبل أن ننتقل للفقرة الأخيرة ونختم اللقاء. وكان في بالي أثناء حديثك عن المنتخب العراقي، هل حفظت النشيد الوطني؟ كان هناك الحديث دائما عن النشيد الوطني، هل حفظت بعض الكلمات حتى تتفاعل مع بداية المباراة؟
You know, I was practicing with my mom and dad, and you know, the first few times it was difficult to memorize the whole thing, you know. But as you know, play more games and you sing the national anthem, you know it. Same with my Arabic. My Arabic, when I came in 2014, I never spoke. And then after by 2016-17, it was very good. And now that I, you know, stopped playing, my Arabic has now declined.
لكن هي لحظة أنا بصراحة أحسد اللاعبين على هذه اللحظة، لحظة النشيد الوطني في البصرة مع 65,000 متفرج، مع لديك هدف بالبصرة، صح؟
Yeah, goosebumps now in my whole body replaying that moment because I always wanted to score on home soil. And you know, my first goal with the national team was away, and then my next goal was in Thailand. So I wanted so bad to score in Iraq to show my true feelings for everybody. You know, and I remember I, you know, bowed to the people because they made me happy. They brought me in, they made sure I felt at home. They always supported me, you know, on Instagram, Facebook. So for me, to the people, you know, I love them all, you know, everybody.
وأيضا بالتأكيد نحن عشنا معك لحظات عظيمة مع المنتخب الوطني جستن. سنذهب إلى الفقرة الأخيرة مشاهدينا، نذهب إلى فاصل ثم نعود لآخر فقرة من هذا اللقاء مع جستن ميرام. أهلا بكم من جديد. وصلنا للفقرة الأخيرة بهذه الحلقة. جستن، لدينا كرة، كل الضيوف اللي حضروا البرنامج وقعوا، لدينا عدة توقيعات وأيضا أنا أشوف من التوقيع أحلى، ربما نسوي بالنهاية مسابقة من اللي توقيعه أفضل. فخلي نروح على الكرة نوقع الكرة، لأنه أحب أشوف توقيعك. جزء بالنهاية نسوي مسابقة من أفضل توقيع. تفضل. الكرة، خليني أذكرك بأول توقيع أول توقيع احترافي.
2011.
ونفس التوقيع؟
Same one.
هذا الرقم 9.
Of course.
ويذكرك الرقم 9 بأحداث حلوة، مباريات مهمة.
The best moments wearing number 9.
شكرا جزيلا لك جستن، كنت معي في هذه الحلقة، ممتن على حضورك، وأيضا لكم مشاهدينا الشكر والتقدير. نلتقي مع ضيف آخر في الخطوة 9. شكرا لكم.